traveling has never been this simple in the Gambia. Oh yes, you don't need to visit the GTSC depot just to get a ticket. Just download the Yona Wallet app today and enjoy hassle-free bookings. With Yona Wallet, you can buy your GTSC bus ticket right from your phone, anytime, anywhere. From Kanifing to Dakar, Dakar to Banjul, or up-country routes like Kanifing to Basse and Basse to Banjul, Yona Wallet has you covered. No queues, no stress. Just safe, fast, and convenient ticketing at your fingertips. Choose comfort. Choose convenience. Choose GTSC with Yona Wallet. Yona Wallet. Your money, your way. GTSC. Moving the nation forward. For more information, please call 1124 or 221-1668.
Jamano Money Transfer Bureau de Change, your go-to option when it comes to money transfer. With Jamano, you can send money from anywhere in the world to your family and loved ones in the Gambia and be sure the funds will be delivered to them within the shortest time possible. For your convenience, funds sent through Jamano Money Transfer can be picked from all the banks and multiple other financial institutions, including Ajib Bank, Trust Bank, GT Bank, Mega Bank, Basic Bank, Reliance Financial Services, and Approved Services. Visit our head office at Bruceby opposite AfricMed next to Trust Bank Limited or email us at info@jamanomt.com. You can as well call us on 310-3050 or 310-3051 or yet still 733-0688. Our opening hours are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday and 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday. Jamano Money Transfer, your most trusted money transfer service where customer satisfaction is paramount. When you think of a simple, fast, and reliable money transfer, think Jamano Money Transfer.
I get it. Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la sto.
Ha, code nyingi.
Okay. Nsila ID soto.
Sa soto. Sorry. I get it.
Bijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariaka. Mbale ki janna nun kunu bara tariaka.
Jannom yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbali ya bere. Birim koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato ni fo bolong blabe to.
56 branches mola sota Gambia jam.
Ha?
Gambia kono ani Gambia bantala bankol. Nka kodo kiya bere to. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta memmen na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw. Jannam number 1 di nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wala nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale de dadi mani domorol ni fana beteat. Gambia dawda yalo ngam fa kendol sotale je.
Wo moyo diat.
Apelenta
ni wo ka ni lafta nyelen kendol e bina.
Yalo bukani la ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Abaraka.
Welcome to the Brunch. I'm your host, Yusuf Taylor, commonly known as FlexDan, the editor for Askanwi Media, with a special episode of The Brunch, brought to you by the National Human Rights Commission and Tango. This program is sponsored by the EU UNDP GREAT project. And on today's topic is diaspora engagement on government development and reform agenda. I'm sure, but before we just go right into today's program, I'm sure many of you will be wondering, where is Lamin Cham? Well, I'm stepping in for Lamin Cham because unfortunately the media, especially Standard newspaper, is currently mourning the loss of Bruce Asemota. Bruce Asemota is a veteran court and crime reporter who has unfortunately passed away at the age of 59. The whole Gambia media and the press union are all mourning his loss. Our prayers and condolences with his family, Standard newspaper, and the rest of the media. Okay, so turning our attention on today's program, I will just introduce my guests, starting from the right. We have, in fact, I should start from the left because it's ladies first, right? Let's start from the left. We have Mariama Singhateh from the post-TRRC unit at the Ministry of Justice. Mariama, welcome to today's program.
Thank you very much, Flex, and hello, everyone.
Thank you so much, Mariama. And next to her is Mulie, Colley, Director of Monitoring and Coordination at the Office of National Security. Welcome to the program today.
Thank you for having me.
And on my right is the chairperson for the National Human Rights Commission, Emmanuel Joof. Welcome to today's program.
Thank you, Flex, and good day, listeners.
And on next to him is Mr. Mohamed Len, the M&E manager at Future in Our Hands, the Gambia. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, and good afternoon to you viewers.
And last but definitely not the least, we have a representative from the Ministry of Finance. Please, Mr. Sowe. Mr. Sowe, welcome to today's program.
Thank you, Flex, and thanks for having me here.
It's a pleasure. And in today's program, we are going to be focusing on, and yes, thank you so much for reminding me. We also have another guest online. We have another guest online. Welcome, Bankamane, the diaspora representative.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thank you. You're almost like my co-panelist in today's show. So I've just been roped in at the last minute, but being a passionate person on the transitional justice process, when I was asked to come to moderate today's program, I was like, why not? Let me come along and definitely make sure we get this program going. But somebody who knows a lot more about today's whole initiative and program, because it's not just about today's panel discussion. There's a lot of activities going on in the UNDP Great Project. Can you tell us generally what this entire project is all about, your main aims and objectives, Mr. Joof?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Flex, my fellow panelists, and all the listeners and viewers out there. This activity which we are having here today, as you rightly said, when you started, is supported by the EU, UNDP, what is known as the Great Project, in collaboration with Tango. For this particular activity, we have been engaging right holders and duty bearers. If you look here on my left, we have duty bearers here, Ministry of Justice, representative from the National
Office of National Security.
Office of National Security, Minister of Finance. So duty bearers and right holders. We've been having a series of engagements in town hall meetings where we engage right holders, duty bearers to talk about pertinent human rights issues in the country, so that we can talk to each other. And this is important. So this is an offshoot of the activity here, where we're looking at the Gambia development and reform agenda, but also looking at it by inviting representatives of the diaspora to give their perspective. But in the process, we'll talk about state of human rights from the body that has been mandated to promote and protect human rights, which is the National Human Rights Commission. We also will look at the transitional justice process, of course, which is coordinated by the Ministry of Justice. They have a special unit, which Mariama is part of. Of course, you cannot talk about issues of development, issues of human rights, without also talking about security sector reform. We have Mulie. The same, you have to talk to finance.
Of course.
All these issues need to be financed. We need their perspective, and of course, also from civil society, NGOs. That is why you have this mix of panelists representing different agencies and yeah.
So you've been going around together, or is this the only time that you are converging together? When you do the town halls, maybe is it that you go along all of you together? How is it working? Have you completed all your town halls?
We've done town halls in Kaneping, in Banjul, in LRR, and in all the regions actually. I've not been particularly involved in all the meetings, but my colleagues, commissioners, fellow commissioners, and staff have been part of it.
Okay.
And you meet people at the level of the regions, also discuss these issues. Different representatives. I'm not sure whether you've attended. I think you've attended. Yes, they have actually been part of those.
Perhaps you guys, during the course of this program, you can, highlight some of the things that will be coming out that relate to discussion.
But I think what I need to emphasize is that it is the National Human Rights Commission was established, given a broad mandate to promote and protect human rights. So this definitely is part of our promotional mandate. You cannot, you have to engage duty bearers. And as you know, you cannot talk about development and reform agenda without engaging both sides. We must sit, we must talk, we must look at the challenges and mapping out a way forward. And believe me, there are challenges that we all need to iron out as a nation.
Indeed.
And this is what we're doing, bringing everybody on board to talk. And through talking, through this dialogue, we can forge ahead.
Indeed. Through dialogue, there's nothing we can't do and achieve with genuine dialogue, which we, work on. And of course, in today's program, as I said, we are putting a diaspora twist to it. That's why we have Banka Mane. We're going to definitely bring him into the program. Diaspora engagement on government development and reform. Reform is very wide, but we're focusing on some of the human rights reform, security sector reform, because we also have Office of National Security representative here, and we do have the post-TRRC unit representative here with us. So we'll definitely be touching on that. So if you in the diaspora, you have questions or comments, that you might want to share, we'll be picking some of them. We know that it goes wild in the comment section. So obviously it's only the comments. We can't pick every single comment, but we'll pick one or two comments that touch on the topic of discussion today, right? So that, especially even on diaspora rights, let me not just put it down on just human rights per se, but also diaspora rights is something that we would want to expand on. But let me shift the discussion to the state, right? Yes. Let's go here first.
Yes.
Perfect. Before we go over to the MOJ, right? First, I had some questions, I think, which you've published a State of Human Rights report, and every year you are publishing this State of Human Rights report. Perhaps you can give us an idea. What are some of the latest recommendations that are emanating from your latest report that you have put forward to government? What are the findings? If you can give us an idea, where are we right now with regards to human rights in the country?
Okay. Thank you very much, Flex. Perhaps just to say that part of our mandate in promoting and protecting human rights is to investigate, receive complaints, monitor human rights. So every year we are mandated by law to submit a comprehensive report to the National Assembly on the state of human rights in the country. And we have been doing that since we were established in 2019. So the latest one that was submitted to the National Assembly is the 2024 State of Human Rights Report. And incidentally, just to tell you, you'll be invited around the 15th or 16th, where we'll have a comprehensive press on this. But yes, we have. So the state of human rights is based on the mapping of what happened during the previous year. And how do we know that? We know that because we investigate. Whenever there is an issue, Sometimes it's even civil society who tells us. But also we are on our feet and with our feet. With everything that involves human rights, we monitor, we invest. We go to the prisons. If there are public demonstrations, you see us there.
Yes.
Yeah. So anything involving human rights, whether it's to do with civil and political rights, we monitor and we investigate. Whether it's to do with economic, social, and cultural rights, we do. So the report that we produce on a yearly basis is a reflection, is a mirror of what is happening in the country. And if I know you are one of them, those who have been looking at
following your report, yes, sir.
You will see that we have, in our reports, we divided it into thematic areas. So everything that is happening on civil and political rights that we have actually monitored, investigated, we report. Not only do we report on facts, we report on the updates, what has happened. Then not only that, we also come up with recommendations that we proffer that needs to be taken.
Yes.
So, for example, if you look at the 2020 report here that I have, you can see it has various thematic areas from it has, for example, security and unlawful killings, the right to life, unlawful arrest, arbitrary detention, public order issues, the right to health, education, the issues of the AKI, land acquisition, all areas of human rights.
Indeed.
So and I will. These reports are also uploaded online.
Yes.
But just quickly. So, for example, in the reports, I will not have time, otherwise nobody will speak if I was going to go through this report. And I don't think that is what is the objective of this. But I just want to tell everybody that this is what we do. It is a requirement that we have this report. And this report is not just a report, it's a recommendation that we submit to the National. And incidentally, the good thing is that the National Assembly occasionally will call us to find out if we had made a recommendation to, for example, the police or the National Office of National Security or prisons, whether they have adhered to those, which is good, because otherwise reports will just sit there and guide us. Not only that, we also follow up to make sure that the recommendations that have been made are actually either implemented or we'll get a report as to why they are not implemented. But quickly, if you look at our report on civil and political rights here, you will find issues relating to public order. Public order is an issue, and as we progress in this dialogue, this discussion, I will want to maybe make some more input, because public order is something we should not neglect. Because if you remember, in 2018, the first year of His Excellency's President Barrow's rule, we had the Parababanta. And I remember one of the things he said.
And you were the chair of the
Parababanta Commission. Because I only wish and hope that the duty bearers revisit the recommendations that are there, because we went heavy on the issue of public order, that if it is not managed well, if we do not look at facilitation and engagement, rather than confrontation and dispersal. It's there. And the things that were talked about, unfortunately, are rearing their ugly head. But we'll talk about it later. But just to tell you that you'll find reports on that. Indeed. Arbitrary arrest, detention, issues of public assembly. You'll find also issues relating to the access to justice, delayed in the courts, and recommendations that we are making. You'll find issues relating to healthcare, sand mining, fish meal, and land acquisition. You see, Flex, these human rights issues, if they're not addressed, public demonstration, public protests are just the consequences of what is happening. But there are other underlying human rights issues. If they are not addressed, may lead to other problems. But we'll look at that. And this is why we have been established to also flag these issues. And we not only do we produce report, we also advise the government. We provide advisory notes, we do research, and this is evidence-based. And a lot of times people say, oh, we've not had the NHRC. We do issue press releases, but I tell you, what we give in terms of direct contact and advice, it's more than actually just the press releases, because we are there to advise the government to come up with policies that are in tandem with our constitutional rights, human rights, but also regional and international provisions. But quickly, I'll finish.
Okay.
Soon. But in the report, 2024 report, you'll find out we talked about vulnerable groups, persons with disabilities. I must comment the government that they did come up with legislation relating, and one of the good ones is the rights of persons with disabilities. Yes. But then again, implementation is something we can talk about. But the Torture Act is now out there, and that's very important for many other reasons.
Yes, yes.
But also, we talk about rights of women. If you remember, there was a pushback recently on the Women's Amendment Act of 2015 when National Assembly members and some institutions, organizations wanted to go to Parliament and repeal the law so that female circumcision can come back. So I'm just saying that these are SGBV cases, sexual and gender-based violence, early child marriage. These are things you'll find in our report, but also the TRRC. The National Human Rights Commission was, apart from our broad mandate, we were mandated to monitor the implementation of the government white paper. So we monitor Mariama's unit.
How they are doing.
How they are doing, because they have come up with an implementation plan, telling the whole world, apart from the government coming with a white paper, and we have to commend the government, they have actually accepted almost all the recommendations. These are things we must also admit. Usually we tend to say that nothing is being done and they're not doing anything. They have. Not only that, a post-TRRC unit has been set up. And these are the things we monitor. We just have a report on the status, where. And again, this is uploaded. A lot of governments will say nothing is done, but they will not even access these documents. Unfortunately, but it's your duty to make sure that you communicate.
Okay.
So this is why. Okay.
You've given us a very good back.
Otherwise, I will spend the whole day.
In fact, the things that you've raised, I'm sure these are things that we will be talking about throughout the program. But there's one important thing which I will raise that you have not touched upon. And I'm sure, I want to believe the NHRC has a position on this. Because we're talking about diaspora engagement, we have Banka Mane who is there watching us. We've seen the passing of the Elections Act, where diaspora rights to vote was actually included in that bill. But this has been removed by the National Assembly members. I cannot fault government per se on this one, because they have put it in there. Although there are some who argue that they did not defend it strongly enough. But on a serious note, this will affect the diaspora's right to vote. We've seen many things about the Elections Act, which has been built, which has been passed now. Of course, most on the headline is the 2 million, but speaking specifically on diaspora, what's the NHRC's position? I believe you guys have actually issued a statement.
Thank you. So I think there's somebody who's reading our position.
Yes, but it seems like, and the reason why I'm raising it, you issued a statement hoping that the parliamentarians would do something about this. But we've seen nothing has been done about it. How is it that your recommendations are falling on deaf ears?
So thank you very much, Flex. This issue of diaspora voting has been on the agenda for long. It's not new. And in fact, in State of the Nation address, I was one of the panelists, and I think the Solicitor General was there in one of them. And the government came out categorically and said that the diaspora will be given the right to vote. And of course, you will remember we came out very clearly regarding the right of diaspora to vote. We didn't sit on the fence. We explained. We even believed that some of the reasons that were given were excuses. We said it in a polite way, but that was what we were actually saying. That if you want to really fix it, you can fix it. And that was our own position. And we gave examples of even other countries, Guinea-Bissau and others, who are giving the diaspora the right to vote. And the problem could be fixed. Unfortunately, this is where we are. Remember, we have our bosses. We don't report to any line ministry, but we report to the National Assembly. But we told the National Assembly what the position of NHRC is, and we gave them reasons and examples of what transpired in other countries. Unfortunately, we are not lawmakers. This is where our stops. But we are, if you ask us, yes, we have made our position. Disappointed? Are we disappointed? Of course we are disappointed. Because we all know, for a fact, that the diaspora plays a crucial role in the affairs of this nation. And judging from even the new government that we have, if you remember, during the time of this, what we call the struggle,
yes.
they played a very important part. And up to today, if you look at the remittances, finance will tell you. So they definitely should have been given that right to vote. If I can, that is the position of NHRC.
Okay. Thank you very much for that clear position. I think we'll just pivot this because this is important, and I just want us to touch on this. I'll go to MOJ. We know that there's been a lot of effort from the MOJ in making, with regards to the diaspora. I just want us to deal with this, and then I'll bring Banker in because he's in the representing the diaspora. We've seen the elections bill, which has been passed. And as I was almost joking there, I did highlight that we cannot really blame the MOJ per se, because they put that inside. The MOJ, Ministry of Justice, actually put in for the diaspora to vote in the elections bill, but it was removed by parliamentarians. But there are some in the diaspora who argue that the Justice Minister didn't defend this clause to make sure that it stayed in there. What's your reaction to that? What would you say?
Well, I guess Justice Minister did the best that he could, just within that situation. He was given a chance to speak about it, and he did speak about it before the National Assembly. And the parliamentarians decided that that clause will be removed from the law. It is not from the Ministry of Justice. The Ministry of Justice did their own work. They drafted the law, included it in there, presented it to the National Assembly, and at the end of the day, the National Assembly members are the ones that made the choice as to whether the diaspora should vote or not. And the choice that they made was sadly not in the favor of the diasporans.
So just before I come in, do you foresee, is there any discussions or are there any plans to try to bring the diaspora issue back on the agenda? Because of a whole 5-year cycle of elections will start again. And there's a possibility that once these things start, they usually would say, let's just wait until the next election cycle. Is there any hope that there's going to be something done from, I know MOJ have done their part, and I did start that from the beginning. Yeah, that there's so far that you could go. But what
I guess within this short period, there's no hope for this upcoming election given the time frame that we have right now, but for the future I can't say much about it, because there's a possibility actually, and it all depends on dialogue with the government and ensuring that government honors that and then present it again before the National Assembly members. And the National Assembly members is not only government, it's government plus opposition. So a lot of lobbying as well need to be done in order to ensure that members of the National Assembly are on the same playing field when it comes to diaspora voting. So a lot of work can be done to present it before the next election. That is not this one, but the upper one that is coming. Yes. There's a possibility.
There's still a possibility. Once there is still time, there is still a possibility. I mean, if the National Assembly come together united on this issue, I think it can be possible. But we've got Banker Mane on the line. Banker Mane is a diaspora representative, and I also see myself almost as a diaspora representative, because I even once had to come to Parliament to speak to parliamentarians about the diaspora. But Banker Mane, you've had the TRRC chair, you've had a representative from the MOJ. We touched on the diaspora having rights to vote. Another election cycle will be coming soon. What's your reaction? What would you want to say about this?
Well, I mean, thank you very much. And I want to thank all the panelists, obviously, for being here with us. It's truly an honor. But let me say this. Obviously, as you know, I also live in the Gambia. I'm struggling between back and forth between the United States and the Gambia these days. So I have kind of a somewhat a perspective on both sides in a way. But I'm going to speak strictly about the diaspora and how they view these issues. You see, what is happening is that the diaspora sees this not the inability to vote and obviously not being given the right to vote as some kind of a part of a pattern of exclusion that has been perpetrated by all actors on the ground. Can you hear me? My screen paused for a minute. Now, so the diaspora is totally excluded from all, every form of governance or, even their ideas are not catered for, and they have been totally shut out. And if you look at it very carefully, it's not just even on the voting. As we speak today, if you have a dual nationality, you cannot even become a minister in the Gambia. That's the constitution. That's the constitution as we speak. So, and also, if you look at it very carefully, there is a culture that has maybe started on the Jawara and exacerbated on the Jame, and now Barrow government came and picked it up, which is there is this pay-to-play system, and the asking price is always political loyalty and support. So as a group in the diaspora, one, they cannot be able to vote. And number two, the laws don't even allow them to be able to become ministers. And number three, one thing that we don't always talk about is that even to be able to come in and be part of the government or any institution for that matter, on the government side, you literally must look like you are a supporter or loyal fan of the ruling party. And so the diaspora, unfortunately, most of them are not groomed in that kind of culture. If you you are from the UK, I'm here in the United States, people don't get jobs because they are supporting party A or party B. They get it based on merits. So, and most of the Gambians here now, a lot of them are working in corporate America, and so they don't have the time to go to the Gambia and play the loyalty card and the political game to be able to secure a position. So this frustration is also very, very, very prominent here in the diaspora. So they are watching from the outside. They even in moments where they are asked to bring in an opinion, for instance, during the TRRC process, they see their opinions kind of evaporate in thin air because most of those initiatives don't come to fruition anyway. So in the end, the TRRC, I heard the lady, Mariam, talk about it, and I commend her office for the job that they have done so far. But for most people in diaspora here, this process is very, very, very slow. The transitional justice has been for them very, 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 very slow. They haven't seen the kind of movement that they believe should be happening by now to really address all these human rights abuses that have taken place in the Gambia, when in other countries like, say, United States, they have even prosecuted some of these perpetrators, even sent them to prison already. So, so when you look at them, the situation here in the US, they were following Michael Corria's case. And then on the other hand, they look at the Gambia and they don't see movement in that kind of direction. They get frustrated. So the diaspora inclusion is not there. We have been totally shut out of the process. They've been totally shut out of having a say in how their country is run. And frankly, they have been totally shut out of being able to come in and contribute and participate in the process. And these people, they have ideas, they have skills. And even on the ground, if you look at it very carefully, Dr. Ablai Sen, I will give him as an example. He's right there. He came from, he was a university, a tenured professor at Miami University here in Ohio. And went to the Gambia. Still to this day, you will think that the University of the Gambia will kind of absorb him in so he can come and serve at a very high administrative position to help protect the institution to the next level, because he has been part of best practices. But he's still in the Gambia and he's not been called upon to do such a thing. So, and the kind of dogo that is necessary to get those jobs, he doesn't have time. For most diasporans, they don't operate like that. The only ones that can do that are the political animals, the ones that really are part of a political party who can show their loyalty and be screaming on social media and show that they are the real. Those ones can go there and maybe get hired. But for the ones that are non-partisan or independent, for that matter, which most of the diaspora is, they don't have time for the kind of rigorous political maneuvering that is necessary to get so those jobs in the Gambia. Those guys are totally shut out, and that's where all the brilliant ideas are. In the Gambia currently, you have so many former UN experts, Gambians, who were all over the world, UNDP, World Bank, everywhere. They are, I mean, most of them have even retired. They are in the Gambia, even in an advisory position that they could be given to be able to contribute. These things, skills and expertise have not been tapped into to really help us move this country forward. So the way the diaspora sees it is that we are all talk and no action. So most of the time, we are good at writing big policy documents. The NDP, for instance, if you look at it, is a brilliant document. The security, the security sector reform documents that, I mean, strategic plans and all these things that have been put together, brilliant documents. But the implementation, they don't see that's where they see a major problem, because these changes must not be superficial, they must be real. I mean, we cannot have a security sector reform plan where the same culture of abuse that was there before, where security forces, when they go out there to confront protesters, always result in some kind of serious abuse of human rights. In this day and age, the diaspora does not expect those things to be happening. So what I am saying is that the diaspora has a lot to contribute. They are already contributing a lot, as the chairman has alluded to, which is in terms of the remittances that they are already sending to the Gambia. So economically, they are contributing immensely. Most of the construction in the Gambia is also even financed by the diaspora. So the economy, as we see it, is also being really driven mostly by the diaspora. So government must engage the diaspora constructively with a view to not ask for some loyalty or support first before you can become a part of. They don't have time for that. They cannot participate in that scheme. You must treat them as if though they have a skill that is needed in the country so that they can come and contribute immensely to the development of that country. Because without them, we will really continue to have this, because they here in the United States, these folks have seen and felt how development actually, what impact it can have. In the Gambia, I mean, the impact, the result is not really felt as they want to see it. And unfortunately, they are the ones who bear the brunt of that problem, because most of the families, guess who they go to for financial help? They're the ones who are funding all these things. So I think it's very important to recognize that the diaspora is a major partner in every sector in our country. We have the security experts in the diaspora, we have economic experts, we have all kinds of experts here, legal experts, you name it. They can participate and contribute in some fashion, in some way, in a meaningful way, and it must not be sort of tied to this, you must be first a loyal fan or supporter or this or that to be able to contribute. If we do that, then we'll continue to have this stalemate where the diaspora will be yelling out of frustration on a daily basis, and you will have a very rancorous relationship between the actors on the ground and the diaspora, which is what exists right now. And that is not sustainable, really. So the voting must happen. The diaspora must be engaged, and they must be allowed to vote. They must be allowed to participate in our economic process, in our political process, in our social development process, in our security sector reforms, and all these other reforms that we have in civil service reform, all the reforms we have going on, without really forcing them to kind of choose one side or the other, because that's where the major problem lies, really.
Okay. I wish we had the representative from the Directorate of Diaspora Affairs. I know that there is a specific directorate that deals with the diaspora. Then we would have put some of these questions to them to see what the efforts are they doing. But you touched on something very important, Banka, which is the TRRC. And I wanted us to segue on that, because the TRRC is a very, very important part of the reform agenda. In today's program, we're talking not just only about development, but we're also talking about the reform agenda. I'll stay with Mariama before I come over to Mr. Joof, which is, we've seen that out of the 263 recommendations, the last we know was about 16 were implemented. But now we're moving to activities, because the government has got an implementation plan. And in that implementation plan, they have 304 activities which they need to complete when you translate the recommendations to activities. And out of those activities, 60 of them have been implemented. 60 of those activities have been implemented. 143 are still ongoing, whilst 101 are not implemented. Can you tell us, we've had Banka, he was talking about the slow pace of the implementation, how we're very good at coming up with, documents and etc. But if you can just please comment, give us an idea, where are we with the implementation of the TRRC recommendations or / activities, if whichever way you put it?
Thank you very much. I think you've just indicated the pace that we're going right now with respect to the activities that are completed and those ongoing and those that are yet to commence. So when you look at the TRRC recommendations, there are about 267 recommendations.
67?
Yes. So in order to sort of like divide that into different programmatic areas, the implementation plan further burdened it to 310 activities. That is
because
300 about
263 recommendations, 304 activities.
Yes, they're about.
Yes.
So those activities are quite interlinked.
Yes.
You start one, you touch on another, or you complete one, there's still another one to go. They're overlapping. When you look at the activities, none stands by itself. That is why it is quite difficult to sort of like compute which ones are completely done and which ones are ongoing. That's why when the National Human Rights Commission initially started with their monitoring and their status report, they just indicated that 16 recommendations have been completed.
Yes.
And meanwhile, some other recommendations had already commenced.
Yes.
I would acknowledge...
Ongoing, that's the ongoing ones,
yes,
isn't it?
I would, however, acknowledge that, yes, the pace has been slow, but that is also due to different factors. And one of those factors as well is funding.
Thank you.
And another factor as well is the pace at which we started with the whole implementation plan. Remember, there was a space when the TRRC submitted its report.
Yes.
There was a 6-month period where the government now released the white paper. Now, even after releasing the white paper, they had to break the white paper down.
Yes.
And they broke it down to the implementation plan in 2023. Then after the implementation plan now, they had to set up a specialized unit. The Ministry of it was realized that the Ministry of Justice could not take the burden of the TRRC recommendations. And that's the mistake that was made at the initial stage. Remember, the Ministry of Justice has its core mandate. And imagine, they are stretched with their core mandate, and then putting the TRRC burden on the ministry. So when that was realized, that was when the office of the post-TRRC unit was set up, operating under the Ministry of Justice, but providing technical assistance in respect to the TRRC recommendations. So the post-TRRC unit is basically responsible for coordination of the TRRC implementations. So we have about 58 implementation entities within the whole TRRC.
Those are the institutions like the government ministries, like you have prisons, you have different.
Very well. And then
you are on the top coordinating all of
so
that.
you have also civil society organizations.
They are part of that 50.
They are part of it. Government alone cannot do that. This is a national project, so it's not a government project, it's a national project. And when you look at the implementation itself, the implementation plan breaks it down into various areas. You have justice and accountability, you have guarantee of non-reoccurrence, you have legal and institutional reforms, you have capacity building, you have reparations, you have peace and reconciliation. So you can imagine the magnitude of all of these. And then you have as well the security sector reforms that is on the side, but also forms part of the TRRC recommendations. You know, that had started alongside with the TRRC, but also the TRRC recommendations also touch on security sector reforms as well. So the magnitude of this, I think it was not realized in the beginning.
Yeah,
it was
so
just looked at as
would you say that it was too ambitious to target 2023 to 2027
it was
for the implementation plan?
I would totally acknowledge that it was, considering the technical capacity needed. I'll just have to differ with Mr. Banker a little bit on the technical capacity, because we've had a lot of diaspora engagement in respect to technical capacity. They provide a lot of technical capacity. When it comes to the TJ process, it's always on merit base that people get their jobs. Even with the National Human Rights Commission, it was widely advertised. And most of the people that ended up getting jobs as commissioners came highly recommended. They applied. They were from the diaspora. They came in. Even chair here.
Yes, I remember a number of the diaspora people were involved in the TRRC process.
And even the TRRC process as well. These jobs are advertised because you cannot get someone that does not have the capacity to come and assist with that. But also with these jobs, you cannot put them under the scale of the normal Gambian government scale. So it has to be most of them are on consultancies to provide that technical capacity. One, Mr. Banker will acknowledge that someone will not leave a salary of some thousands of dollars to come and take like about a few thousands of dollars. That will not happen. So that is why most of these jobs are on sort of like a consultancy and technical assistance. So that's basically most of the reasons why these things stalled. Even the special advisor on transitional justice issues as well is outside of that. That's why the TRRC office is like outside of the normal MOJ office. But like I said, they've been providing technical assistance. One, like Dr. Satang Nabani, has been engaged on a couple of issues, and also, these are consultants.
I'm sure Banka would like to hear that. Satang, they are mentioning that she is one of those. But
these are consultancies that
good choice. Yes, absolutely.
Consultancies that she applied for. So most of these consultancies are out there, but you will find that when some of these consultancies are advertised, they are advertised and re-advertised over and over again before even people apply for the positions. And sadly, most Gambians abroad, I don't know, for whatever reasons, don't tend to advertise until they're nudged. Oh, apply for this. So we need all hands on deck to ensure that this process works. Like I said, this is not only Barrow's government's program. This is a national program. It would outlive any government. Any government.
Yes, you've mentioned a good number of, I think you've helped me with one of my questions, which is some of the challenges. Funding is always mentioned. We will have to come to your side soon when it comes to funding. But you want to say something?
Let me just add something.
Yes.
It's true. A lot of people see it as slow. And remember, the NHRC even came in once upon a time to say that it was very slow. We did even a study tour to South Africa to learn the process. And it was there that we actually even, as an institution, understand the magnitude of post-TRRC. Implementation is never easy. One thing I would say is that when we were given the mandate to monitor the implementation, we quickly set up a monitoring committee, because it's important that if we are monitoring, so in this monitoring committee we have many of the entities who are supposed to implement, and they give us feedback as to the level of where they are, and we follow with advisory. I'm just saying that it is complex. But also another point, and yes, Banka is right, you know, with TJ process, especially when it comes to prosecution, people want it to happen, which is one of the most difficult and the most expensive. And other issues. I'm glad, but I think also what the TRRC unit needs to do more often is to communicate so that people can know. For example, the Reparation Commission, there was an act.
Yes.
The act was passed. Today we have commissioners who are sitting, you know, and considering reparations. I'm just saying that you have the Special Prosecutor's Office.
Yes, in fact, and that's where I want to go. You talk about justice, and there are many themes. I think would jump into this one theme before I move around, because there have been a lot of shakings with regards to the special prosecutor. Obviously, we've seen that the act was passed.
Yeah.
Together with the special accountability mechanism, a tripartite, act. For those who don't know, these lawyers, they use all these fancy words there. Tripartite just means it comes in 3 parts. Okay. I'm trying. I'm a, how could I say? I did it. But, I mean, these are some of all of these are work that, the Ministry of Justice has done to pass these acts in the first place.
Yes.
And now, because, this also touched about hiring. Where are we? Because I know that the special prosecutor, there are whispers in the grapevine that there's a lot of progress, because we've seen you announce the position multiple times, just like you did touch that you announced these positions multiple times. What's going on? Because that will help to move things much quicker. Where are we with that?
Oh, well, I'm glad to give an update on that. But first, before that, I'd like to acknowledge the work that the GBA has done, the Gambia Bar Association, from the beginning. Now, and they made the work of the post-TRRC quite easy. From the beginning of, towards the end of the TRRC, the GBA decided to do a consultation on what system will better work when it comes to accountability in respect of post-TRRC crimes. And they aligned that as well with the TRRC recommendations, that is compendium part A, I believe, which highlights the various crimes, and it details what futures the Gambian process should look like. The Gambian process is quite different from every other process. We're not a post-conflict country, just from a repressive rule. But that has taken a whole lot of time. 22 years. During the work of the TRRC, it was 22 years, but now it's over. My math is not mathing, but let me just skip that part. But the time has spanned a lot. With that, we set up what is called the ECOWAS Gambia committee to assist with the partnership with ECOWAS and in passing the ECOWAS decision. That was successful, and the ECOWAS ended up passing a decision in favor of establishing a court for the Gambia. This is the first time. So I spoke about the Special Prosecutors Act and the Special Accountability Act. So that gives us the legal framework to establish post-TRRC accountability. Now, with that, the Act requires the setting up of the Special Selection Panel to recruit a special prosecutor. It is foreseen in the Act that the special prosecutor would operate independently from the Ministry of Justice. It would be like a special office for prosecution, and his work will not be directed. He wouldn't be directed as to who to prosecute or what to do in respect of his investigations. So that is why the Act proposed the establishment of a special selection panel that was set up last year, and they had advertised and got some really good candidates, and they've concluded their work I believe about last month or this month thereabout. So they narrowed the selection down to 2 individuals. Yes, before the end of the year. I would not want to say this month specifically, but before the end of the year, there will be an announcement for the special prosecutor. The office would have been established. Yes. And with that, maybe the finance person will speak on that more. Because when we establish the Special Prosecutor's Office, we need to operationalize that office for the Special Prosecutor to commence his work. And government had already set aside a sum of money, I believe around over $100,000 or thereabout. I don't know this. I can't recall the specific sum.
Why are we talking dollars?
You know that this accountability is the most expensive venture out of the lot. it's a very expensive setting of a specialized office because our legal framework does not provide for it. Other countries, it's already set up. With the US, in terms of the trial of Michael Sankoria, they already had a legal framework for it.
Yes.
And that legal framework was the one that they used to, and they spent 5 years, even with the legal framework. 5 years with the investigation before prosecuting one individual.
Okay, I was, and then there's a special tribunal act, which is a bill currently, which is being worked upon. Is this the last piece of the jigsaw when it comes to concluding and with regards to allowing justice to just take off?
So, you know, the special accountability mechanism is in threefold.
Yes.
So we have the establishment of the specialized court, which is the hybrid court.
Yes.
Then we have the special court established under the High Court.
Okay.
That is a pronouncement by the CJ establishing the court. That had already been done by the CJ. And then you have the Special Prosecutor's Office, which we foresee in the future will merge into the Special Tribunal. You know, a tribunal court composed everything. It has a registry, it has a defense office, it has a prosecution office. But with the pace at which we are going, we deemed it necessary to have the Special Prosecutor's Office stand on its own first because of cost again,
of course,
tribunal, building, and so on. So we have assistance from the GREAT project, which will refurbish the court at Mile 7 to at least put it up to a standard to be able to house the domestic court. That is the court established by the CJ, and also house the permanent office of the Special Prosecutor. So that is already ongoing, and I believe the judiciary is the one that can provide more details as to the court. I don't have every detail here, so I can't say much, but I do know that there is funds for that, for the refurbishment of the court and the building of an office for the Special Prosecutor. Yes, but this, nonetheless, the Special Prosecutor, if appointed before the end of the year, would start work immediately.
And
Investigating,
looking at deciding which cases they're going to go for, which cases will be dealt with by the domestic court, because a very important aspect of this is they are going to have to decide which cases will be dealt with. There's the domestic courts. If there are crimes that they feel that can be dealt with by the domestic court, that will be, he will.
Yes, and that is on a jurisdictional basis. You know, our courts cannot try most of the post-TRRC offenses because of the nature of those offenses, which is why we opted for a hybrid court and a tripartite system. So all the cases that can be handled domestically will be taken to the special division of the High Court, and the cases that cannot, it will be like a build-up from the domestic court to the hybrid court. So they will build their cases from there, because almost all the cases are interlinked in terms of perpetrators and witnesses as well. So there will be an interlink where the Special Prosecutor will now have to prepare his strategy as to the build-up and which cases to use, but that is on the Special Prosecutor.
Very, very important role. The Special Prosecutor hopefully will be announced before the end of the year. We will be watching. Hopefully the Ministry of Justice can come out with this statement, maybe even in October, so that we can start moving. I'm going to shift my attention to the Office of National Security. We have Mr. Colley here with us from the Office of National Security. They do a very important role whereby they are trying to coordinate the security sector reform process. The security sector reform process and the TJ, they have a very important connection. Please, can you outline what are the objectives of SSR? Because for some people, you know, many people didn't see SSR on TV, like the TRRC. So most people, when you say TJ or transitional justice, immediately their mind goes to something. But for people who may not see that for SSR, kindly tell us, what is the security sector reform all about, the objectives? How is it going? How is it?
Okay, thank you. When I talk about transitional justice, this is the broader aspect of the reform, which we have, within it we have the SSR. And SSR is the security sector reform. And if you look at the security sector reform, there are two distinctions that we should try to identify. You have the security sector institutions, and the security, what do you call it, security institution and the security sector. The security institutions are, for example, like the people who are directly doing the activities of the security, like the police, the army, the NI also. And we talk about security sector, security is broader. Where you talk about the Minister of Justice, the National Assembly, the CSOs, and this. So when we're talking about security sector reform, we're looking at what are those key role players, what are their roles, and more attention is focused on the security institutions. And when we talk about security institutions, we have about 8 security institutions. And if you look at what happened during the TRRC, the security institutions were part of what they call the ugly parts that the TRRC were trying to cover. So when even before that, in 2016, there was an assessment that was conducted. And this assessment were able to highlight the malfunctions within security institutions. And we came up with our own policies in order for us to remedy the problem. And we came up with what we call a security reform strategy. And that strategy has about 5 pillars. And the key among those pillars is trying to say, how are we going to address the post-ordinary legacies? What has been there for 22 years? How are we going to address that? And that was the most difficult part in that. And in this, we are able to achieve that. But now, if you look at now, the mindset of the security institution has tilted. It's not 100%. We can see the way people respond to in demonstrations or riots is completely different from what happened. And the way, for example, like the Gambia Armed Forces, the NI, the way they compose themselves is completely different. So when we move to the second pillar, it talks about the discussion about what they call the policies. And the key among them is trying to look at the policies within the security institution, like our acts. Like if you look at like, for example, like the Gambia Police Force Act, is about 1948. If you look at the prisons, look at that. And even the what talked about the Public Order Act is as old as more than the Gambia. So that pillar or that priority area turns to look and see what can we do to improve in these things. And key among these things was the recent passing of the National Security Council Bill, which gives us more power for us to be able to move forward in the reform process. And the third among the priority areas was trying to see the overarching or what do you call the oversight bodies. Before the securities, no one was checking on what they are doing. Now you have the what they call the National Human Rights Commission, the Ombudsman, and even the National Assembly. That sometimes they look into the activities of the security sector and see this should have done that. And the case, an example, is what happened now at the recent Mandinari incident. You see in the Chief Justice coming up with a request from the state. Yes. You can see this at the beginning. In those days, we don't have those oversights to look into. And even annually, National Human Rights Commission will come up with what they call a report.
A state of human rights report.
And you can see, if you look at the report itself, there are only a few what we call finding against security institutions. And only a few maybe because in the police, because they have direct contact with the people. But you don't have find any report against the SIS or NIA or the army. So we can see that also oversight mechanisms are working fine.
So the challenge is then the police? No,
the challenge is not the police. It's like what you understand now. Security sector is not about the people in uniform. Yes, because the police will work on the tools they have. And those tools are made by other people. So in this, I think we are working towards in direction. And the other pillar that look also what they call the cross-cutting issues, because we see that in the way people or the people in the security sector respond to other needs of people in society. We have the vulnerable in the society. You have people with less privilege, so also the women. And if you look at it, we also came with what we call a gender policy for the security sector and a SEA policy, sexual harassment policy. That look at how are with the police or people in uniform or people in the security sector, how they're going to interact. It's difficult for people to measure the success because this has to do with the way we do, and the only people that can gauge us whether we are doing better or not is the public. And that's why also the public perception is very important. So sometimes we can see the way people perceive the way we are doing,
Yes.
And as a result, we import. And the last among them is the what you call reform that focus on the secret institutions. Because if you look at, let's take one by one. If you look at the Gambia Armed Forces, the what we call it's a complete U-turn. It's different from where they were used as a tool for repression.
Yeah.
That they are completely going into the barracks and perform their normal use. You hardly also see the SIS or the NIA arresting people. They focus. And internally also, you can see they have developed a lot of what they call internal, they did a lot of internal reflection.
Okay.
And see, this is the direction that what you want to go.
Okay.
And if you look at also the other security institutions, the police and the immigration and the drug law and the Gambia prison service, they have also moved a lot in this direction. And I think some of the also interventions were done by partners like UNDP. You can see the model police station that were built.
Yes,
That's part of it. And I think most governments just want to see the tangible.
Indeed.
And most of the time, what we are doing, we are trying to work on intangible that people cannot see. The most difficult part is trying to change the minds of individuals. That is difficult for you to measure. But now, you can see that there's changes. The way, for example, like people put on a red coat, black coat, and be terrorizing people in the street, that has changed. And people, even the population have more, even now more, but they are more used to the people in uniform than before.
Like you mean like the disbandment of junglers and black and those kind of things. But you have made some good interventions there. There is something that though you talked about perception. A survey by the Afrobarometer noted that majority of Gambians want ECOMIC to leave the country. It's been how many years? ECOMIC did come into the country in a time of need. When we needed them to make sure that the people's, decision was carried on. And they did that. We've got ECOMIC here since. And what can you tell us? After 8 years, how close are we to seeing, ECOMIC phase out? Because that would be a triumph for security sector reform. That would be a message that, you know what, Gambia is able to take care of these things now. 8 years is a long time. How close are we, sir?
I think it's important also we highlight the role played by ECOMIC at the initial state. At the beginning, I think the interventions were felt by everybody in the country. We don't forget about that.
Definitely.
Like every mission, it has what you call a phase out. So equally, ECOMIC will do that. But for example, like if you look at, for example, peacekeeping missions all over the world, where even Gambians participate. The Gambians started participating in the missions, I think, in ECOMIC in 1990 in Liberia and Sierra Leone. So that is the important role. And if you look at now, what is happening now, the role of ECOMIC and the role of Gambian security is we work hand in glove. Now, if you look at most of the important facilities, what they call entry points, is all controlled by Gambia and Gambian soldiers. If you look at the most strategic areas, all. So you cannot and the process of the what they call we highlighted the issue of the transitional process. They are not complete. So imagine now if you have the prosecutorial office running, and we're going to prosecute people, and you know that how Gambia is a close society. Imagine that you for example your brother is involved in this and is a problem. You want to prosecute. How will the mood be? So the best way we think that though ECOMIC will have a time to live, but I think the process of the reform is still on the right track, and which ECOMIC is part of the reform process. Some people may argue maybe they have lived all their life, they must go. We agree that the perception of the individuals, but we think that they are still very useful when you come to that. And remember that even a government police or security person are in peacekeeping.
Indeed.
So the process of what they call peacekeeping is a common idea that even governments participate in the peacekeeping process. But I know a time will come, ECOMIC will leave, and the time also.
Well, you cannot tell us, you cannot give us any idea for now. But let's just contrast it. Look, this regardless, they say Gambia is what, 4th, 5th most peaceful country in Gambia. Now, how would you reconcile this? Do we really need ECOMIC to continue to be here? Is it about time that the ONS, with all the reform that work that you guys have done with security sector reform, isn't it time that at least a phase out? Because it doesn't seem like, you said it in your statement, there will be a time for phasing out.
Yes.
But it doesn't seem like phasing out has commenced. But just if you can briefly comment on that.
One thing you understand, there are things that are obvious, that everybody can see, and things that are not obvious.
Yes.
And most of the time, the economic also stay here is a political, decision. When politicians decide, we'll follow what the politicians say. And I think we leave it at that side.
No problem.
When we want to discuss more.
No problem. I think I will go try to speak to your boss, the advisor, national security advisor, Mr. Jeng.
Okay.
If he is watching us,
Okay.
please, if there is something. I will move on to civil society. Our colleagues, you've had the different interventions from National Human Rights Commission on the state of human rights in the country, the challenges that we are seeing. We've also heard from MOJ. I just want to come in from a human rights perspective. I know Future in Our Hands do a lot of work with in the form of education, right? And you've been going around with some of them together on this sensitization. What can you tell us? What are the people saying? What are the people that you are working with saying, for example, in civil society, because you can give us a balanced voice? What's your view with regards to where human rights is doing right now?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think the general perception is that we've come a long way, considering what entailed in the past. However, we also have a very long way to go. Not just on civics and political rights, but also on social and economic rights. We are talking about a country where more than half of the population is poor. When we look at the life expectancy in this country, it's just about 60. So access to health, access to education, quality education, is strong. And quality education has been one of the goals of the ministry. So yes, so generally in terms of meeting all the needs or rights, we still have a long way to go. I think Mr. Colley talked about the importance of perception. Yes, there are a lot of things that are happening about regulatory frameworks, etc. But people are mainly interested in their material well-being.
Indeed.
What is happening to access to food security, what is happening to the living standards. So people are very much concerned about this, and we know the relationship between material well-being and these other intangible, ideals, etc. that we often talk about. If we want good governance, that is impossible in the absence of development. When you talk about macroeconomic stability, etc., it's not just, we are not just looking at GDP growth, etc., but we are also interested in how this affects the lives of the people. So yes, I would say that the general perception is that despite the fact that there are a lot of changes, and good changes for that matter, people are able to express their views. In communities, people can disagree with their alcalos. We went around with the Human Rights Commission. People criticized their councils, the elected councils. They told them what they want to change, what is not happening. People were questioning about their budgets, where the money is going into, why certain purchases are made whilst others are not made, why certain things are prioritized, like vehicles, purchasing vehicles, etc. So yes, we see that honest conversation that is happening, but I also think that we need to bridge the gap between expectations and the realities, because there is a lot of gap between these two.
All expectations are too high.
Too high.
Yes.
And that is not just, we would not blame the people for that. They have a right to that.
Yeah.
But also these expectations were to a large extent created by the political class. In the NDP, I'm sure Mr. Sowe would talk about that.
Yes.
But diaspora voting is one of the outcomes that was promised in the NDP. And the NDP is not owned by the ruling party or the government, it's everybody, every single stakeholder. So those who decided to vote against diaspora voting actually are not promoting the attainment of the NDP, irrespective of which political class they belong to. I think NDP is having a fundraising in the diaspora currently. UDP has its own. So every single political party is still banking on the diaspora. Okay? And yeah, we made these promises, but they are not met. So yes, the expectations are there, and they were created by the political class, and for one reason or the other, they are not being met. Yes, in terms of the reforms also, like Council stated, we know some of these initiatives are very much expensive, but there are others that would not require much funding. And
the low-hanging fruits,
yes,
as they call them.
There is a lot that we can still do to ensure that, yes, some of these activities that are geared towards attaining that good governance, etc., are realized.
Before I pivot on to finance, national development, civil society also has a very important role to play in national development. The Gambian public themselves have a very important role to play. I don't think that the government will be able to meet their objectives.
You know, I can't hear you. I think you are muted your mic.
Oh, is my mic muted? I think it's on this side. It might be on this side. Let me see. I think somebody has muted my mic on the side. But they will unmute it. Okay, it has been unmuted. So you should be able to hear me now. So I was just talking to Mr. Lem with regards to national development. Is it? Yes, I'm on, right? Okay. Yes, you can hear me? I'm fine, yes. I got a thumbs up. We're fine. So we were just doing a sound check. Thank you, Banka, for that. Mr. Lem, before I pivot on to very important representative from Ministry of Finance, national development, I was trying to highlight the important role that civil society also has to play. What can you tell us, especially in your area of intervention in education? You've been involved in even building schools and been working to make sure that education, one of those key pillars in the National Development Plan, the objectives are met. What can you tell us with regards to your contribution and even the wider civil society? Because you are not here just as only feature in our hands, I know, but you know, Tango. What can you tell us with regards to?
Yes, so like we always say, civil society is broad, and I think in many cases we are closer to the people than the government. So maybe I can let me just cite Figure in Our Hands as an example.
Thank you.
I think from the 1980s to date, we are talking about 1,600 classes. That
so Figure in Our Hands has been on since 1980s?
Yes, from 1979, wow. But
wow.
Our primary focus then was more on promoting quality education, so in-service teacher training. Along the way, classroom building, that was our first mandate. But along the way, we realized that, well, you could build the classes, but the quality would not be there. So we shifted to say, okay, not just building classroom, but also in-service teacher training to build capacity. And along the way, things keep on emerging, climate change, women empowerment, etc. So we ended up diversifying to bring in different components, tree planting, horticulture, etc. So provision of garden to women, etc. The human rights based training, paralegal training, etc. We've worked closely with NCCE just to make sure people understand their voting rights, duties, etc. But also working with local governance structures to empower councils, provide training, budgetary training, etc., budget tracking, etc. These are all areas that we are involved in. But generally, when you look at civil society, I think not just on these, I'm sure you are aware that we already have children who should be in school who are out of school for various reasons. I think in the past 2-3 years, we've helped to transition some of these children, about 700 of them, back to school.
What's the main reasons? The main reasons children are out of school? Is it lack of funding? What's the main reason? Because of currently it's free education, right? According up to a particular stage. What are the leading reasons?
Yes, I think we need to qualify this free education. Yes, you don't do these direct payments, etc. But if you look at the other costs that are involved, buying textbook, buying uniform, transportation, etc. Not every single school in this country has a school feeding program. Okay, so there is a lot of additional cost that comes in to financing. Still now, the truth is that we have communities that are more than 3 kilometers between the closest school to these communities.
And the government currently has a policy to make sure that that is.
Yes.
But is that reducing?
Yes, that
the
is.
Number of schools, is that reducing? And
that is reducing to a great extent. I know just in the past 2 years, one of the communities we were intervening in had no school, and that is why we had to help children who should be in school but they are not, to help them get them to school. And eventually, with lobbying and advocacy, when the ministry recognized that, they decided to bring in a school there. So yes, that is reducing, but like there is still a gap. But there are others also who still don't see the value of Western education. I mean, in quotation. And that is why also a lot of work needs to be done so that people understand that, well, the education that we are getting in this country, you might call it Western, but it's not Western. Our curriculum is a Gambian curriculum. You got to learn things about the Gambia, etc. You got to learn things about well-being. You got to learn things about our institutions, administration, etc. But there is still this perception that yes, it's still Western education, and it would, deculture children from the Gambian culture or from an Islamic culture to another culture.
What about girls' education? Is that also still a challenge?
We've done a lot, and we as Gambians have done a lot. If you look at the primary level, gross enrollment rates, girls are performing better than boys.
Yes, but retainment is the challenge.
Retainment is the challenge. As you go to the higher levels, you see that the number of girls keep dropping. And this is also related to, which district you are in. If you go to certain districts up country, in the Woolies, etc., you find that enrollment rates might be lower, or they might be going down as you climb up the ladder. So there is still a lot of work that needs to be done in that area.
For those of you who are just tuning in, I'm your host, Yusuf Taylor, and on today's specific program, we are talking about diaspora engagement and reform as well, and the National Development Plan. So, and this project is brought to you by the National Human Rights Commission together with Tango, and funded by the EU UNDP. Great project. So we don't have much long to go, but now comes one of the very important areas where we shift our attention to finance. But just generally, I think we need to just talk about the National Development Plan. The government has another 2 years, because it was 2023 for the National Development Plan, 2023 to 2027. How far are we with regards to the National Development Plan and its implementation? Maybe if you can even give us percentages. Have we?
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Alex. I think my brother here has started setting the stage for me in terms of the National Development Plan, not a political document.
Indeed.
Because that's why there had been a lot of consultations at the grassroots level, so that we leave no one behind in terms of the process. When we initially developed the NDP, which elapsed, when change of government happened, that is National Development Plan. The current one is NDP, that's recovery focused. That is based on resilience.
Yes.
The former one, which is NDP, you can see government felt that there are important areas that government need to address. The issues of governance, human rights, they were highly mentioned in terms of government priority. And interestingly, the civil society, we are seen as a value partner for national development. And we have other cross-cutting issues like Gambia diaspora. And government recommended Gambia Diaspora Directorate to be created to coordinate diaspora issues.
Yes.
So because the diaspora is a very important element in terms of national development. Remittance, as Banker has rightly said, if you look at remittance inflow in the country, is the highest in the sub-region.
Over 775.
We have over 775 million
dollars yes.
recently.
Yes.
From a baseline we developed on the RFNDP 20 from 712 million. That is the current RFNDP 2022. You see the gap and how significant it is over time.
Indeed.
So that's why government felt extending in terms of looking at other areas in terms of inclusions in the national development process, because these documents should be owned by everybody. All hands should be on deck to ensure the successful implementation of the plan. And that's why we have that cross-sector consultation. First time we have 120 word consultation across the region, where we look at cross-border issues. Look at the cross-border issues. What are the challenges? What are community challenges in terms of livelihood? What are community challenges in terms of access to education, health, among others? And we look at the riverine community, the challenge at the riverine community. What are the issues that are actually coming up? And people give their perspective. All together, we put our synthesis that advise the development planning process. You know, Ministry of Finance, where I worked, we actually don't put the priorities. We coordinate the input from various sectors. We are the sector experts.
Yes.
We coordinate the formulation, implementation, and monitoring evaluation of the plan. You see, so it's that directorate I am, the directorate development plan. So going further in terms of inclusion, I'm just coming before, I just want to highlight some of the issues we have highlighted in terms of the plan not being a government, it's just a political plan. Although you cannot divorce politics on a plan. Because they are the one that drive. When
a new government comes in, they can decide what they want.
Yeah, because that happened with the NDP. Because the NDP, the previous NDP we initiated the development of the NDP in the former government, Jammeh's government. Because plan is a continuous process. When we develop it until around December, before November, when election was to be conducted, then we said we can leave until after election. We continue finishing the document, but there was a change of government. Then we have to bring the plan on the table with the coalition government. And we look at their manifesto and some of the areas there. So that's why when change of government happens, these are what happens. But government intend to have a long-term plan that will be operationalized. That is the medium-term plan that will be aligned to political cycles, the election cycle. That's where there's change of government. Of course, you need politicians to drive it. But not forgetting that also, government also look at the issues of the popular grassroots in terms of consultation for the plan. And we also look at the interest group, like the non-state actors, in terms of consultation. We also look at the technical people that drive the plan. That is the sector's lead. These are the things we put together. And interesting, we have never done it before, having the interparliament, the interparty to be part of the process. All the political parties, we are in the process of consultation, what direction government need to take. And some of the challenge they discuss. And the important aspect of it is the media. We also contribute, because we know the media is very important in terms of education. You know the media is very sensitive. So how do you create fact information for the public? Yes. So that we don't bring that information that actually will not put. So
I have a series of questions.
Yes.
And we know that, I know time is going soon. But if it's possible, because we have 2023, 2024, 2025. Yeah. Now, we are actually right in the midway, if I can say, that there's another 2 more years to go. Can you tell us, is government looking at it to a level where, because like, for example, like the TRRC, you can see the way that the government is monitoring it. The National Human Rights Commission is monitoring it. So can you tell us how many percentage, how far we are on it? Are we got 50%, past 50%?
I was just reading the context. And the background. I am not going in terms of progress. Because my brother here was talking about education. I was an education expert before. They are contributing significantly, especially here. So some of them are they're underreported in terms of their contribution to the global scope of access to education. But if you look at access to education and health, is something that have significantly improved over time. Because we know the number of schools in terms of access and the number of people, GR of 100%,
You know, although we have some challenge in terms of some of them are leaving out, but that is not a bigger challenge for government in terms of access to it, but quality, which is a composition of outside school factor, inside school factor, which lead to quality in terms of performance at the school level. But I will not continue on that. We have said, but when it comes to the implementation of the plan,
yes,
because you know, for the benefit of other people, the previous plan, which is the National Development Plan,
yes.
So we have almost at midterm we evaluated the plan. We find that, you know, remember they have went to Brussels for resource mobilization.
Yes, which is key.
There was a funding gap of 1.6 billion the US dollars. So government happened to get a pledge of 1.7 billion pledge, and that pledge is not money. It have to translate into work. Sectors need to work.
Most of it was not material.
Yeah. So then obviously when sectors go into work, and at midterm when we evaluate, we find that 60% of the outcomes, that is the pillar, the strategy priority, were on track to be achieved.
But that's the last.
No, I'll come to the other. I'm just telling a text.
Yes.
So the resource that we are also on pledge, almost 1.3 were achieved at that time. But we have not evaluated the final one.
Okay.
But on this current RFNDP, which we evaluated 2 consecutive years on the APR, annual progress, we are evaluated in terms of resource. Both we look at the resource flow and the coordination mechanism, but also vis-a-vis the implementation status.
Yes.
So we know we have a lot of challenge.
Yes.
We have challenge of data. You know, some of them not simply they are not doing anything.
But getting back information to you.
Getting the data.
Yes.
You know, some of the data that are coming from health, the maternal mortality, infant mortality, neonatal, among others. Yeah. These are coming from major household survey, like the mix. You know, coming from poverty survey. So among others. So obviously, if those surveys are not frequently coming, you cannot assess progress because we have to assess progress based on the benchmark.
Yes.
We cannot take any administrative data. The scope is very small.
That's
so obviously, you will not find any data if you assess. Then obviously, how do we report? Reporting becomes challenging in terms of the global picture, in terms of progress. Okay. But we are, out of the 30 outcomes we so far implementing on this RFNDP. We have almost 13 of them that are on track to be achieved. 14 are constrained. 13.
1-3.
Yeah, that's 14 are constrained. Constrained in the simple fact that there is lack of data.
Okay. But 14,
so 3 were no progress.
Aha, okay.
3 were no progress.
Thank you.
Some of them are not moving.
Okay.
But because for the simple the analysis we do, we are looking at the 5 years period for implementation. We are saying if you start a process and there is a likelihood you might complete at the end of the year, we say it's on track to be achieved. But at the final year of implementation is where we'll know the global sum in terms of where government is in terms of it. And the resource force also is there in terms of how much government has invested in this plan. It's important for you to review financial performance, institutional coordination that actually challenge in terms of coordination, implementation of the plan, and also the progress from sectors in terms of implementation.
So in fact, that was exactly my second question with regards to, because of you touched on it, the previous NDP funding, raising the fund, because you can have a plan, a wonderful plan, but if you don't have funds to implement the plan, for example, if you don't have funds to implement the Ministry of Justice, to have, you know, the special tribunal, to have the offices, to have the space and the courts, the special courts that they are having, all of these things, everything which we are talking about has to do with funding. So, can you tell us how are we doing with mobilizing resources, especially to fund the NDP? Because the government did identify that to be a key challenge until it made sure that there was a financing plan, the National Development Plan, the RFNDP. It accompanies another document which talks about financing the NDP, which I felt was very, you know, like foresight that the government is looking forward in that regard. How are we doing with mobilizing funds? Are we on track with getting the funds?
It's a challenge, but our government has not gone. So we know we develop a financial strategy.
Yes.
Financing strategy. We look at 2 scenarios. We look at the optimistic scenario, looking at all the strategy, and be optimistic that we'll finance all those strategies. And that was the budget that was globally budgeted was 3.5 billion US dollars. So, but when we calculated and see the amount that is available by government, then we end up having a funding gap of 2.8 billion US dollars. That is the optimistic scenario. Then we look at the conservative scenario, looking at the global uncertainties in terms of financing, Ukraine, Russia, war, other areas, there is a donor fatigue.
Yes.
So government looking at, when we're looking at financing the plan, we look at both multilaterals and bilaterals support. We look at the UN, EU, among others, and also innovative financing mechanism and PPP arrangement. Remember, most of the plans are going for infrastructure. So how do we look at PPP arrangement to finance some of them development activities? And also inwardly, we have to also increase revenue generation. How do we look at domestic resources? How do we reforms?
Now you are
that they intended to have a digital tax system on the tax system on the digital display, so that there are a lot of issues that reforms that actually increase tax, and also the tax exemptions that are also done.
How inward? So, how inward are we looking? Because whenever we talk about NDP, even when you talk about TRRC, and even when we talk about the what's it called, security sector reform, we always looking at international partners. How much? And I understand this government is actually trying to look more inward, but how much more inward are we looking so that we fund all these things ourselves? If dollars don't come now, because Russia-Ukraine war is a problem, then we're on our own. How are we doing?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why if you look at the resource the resource spent on TLF in terms of development, it's very significant of correct. Most of them infrastructure. You see some of the roads that are built around the province, among others. These are all TLF.
Yes.
And if you look at the 2 years, we have 150 something million US dollars for the also replicated for the next year, 2023 and 2024. That has increased in terms of government investment in terms of infrastructure. So there are a lot of resource that is generated in terms of development, and that has not been happening. So there are significant things government is doing in silence.
Okay. It seems like we might be running out of time very soon. I'm not sure how much time we've got, but I know we've been on here for quite a while, barring the interruption which we had. So I think we'll just try to wrap up this program today. We'll start off with your last comments, if I could say. Is there something that, given you are the main guys running this project, is there something that you want to say? I've seen you taking notes whilst especially with regards to finance. I see you were taking some notes. Perhaps there might be some few things that you want to touch on.
There is always 60.
Yes, please feel free to go in.
We go around and then.
And our technical guy, if Banker Mane is available to come on, please let me know. Okay, I've got a signal that he can't be on. I was going to get Banker to, because they talked about the diaspora. We talked about 775 million US dollars. Not dollars is that. Not dollars is the dollars. This is plenty money. Then how are they being involved in? But we're going to try to wrap up today's program. I still have so many questions, but I know I cannot ask all of them. But I really cannot do today's program without talking about reparations, because I know that all the people who are watching would be asking me, how can you, and you didn't have to talk about that. We know that reparations, it has always been a challenge. We just talked about finance, right? Of late, we've seen about $17.8 million has been dispersed for the new reparations commission, which has been established. Out of 30 million, actually, is what they were supposed to be given, right? Is there any guarantees that the rest will be dispersed? I don't know whether maybe this gentleman should be the one answering this question, because if there's still some money, 17.8 million was dispersed out of 30 million for the reparations commission, right? But we know we have less than 3 months to go.
Yeah.
Whether they would be receiving the rest of it, because we know that they needed almost $200 million. It's a lot of money. What's the situation? What can you tell us?
Well, I guess it's fair to say that there is good political will to carry out reparations. The how and the how much is what is yet to be determined. The Reparations Commission is recently set up, and it's an independent body that will set up its own policies. They will review the work that has been done, looking at how many victims there are and how much they will be paid. And those payments also will be benchmarked in accordance with our current realities in the Gambia. With the how much, you're right, the finance guy is the best to answer that.
I have to get back to him, I think.
But
to be quite okay.
But just to say that there is a good political will for reparations, because if there was not, we would not have the establishment of the Reparations Commission. The commissioners have already been sworn in. They've started their work, doing their internal policies and collecting data on victims, and they will soon make their announcement and start their interviews.
Okay.
And like you indicated, some of money has already been disbursed to them. 17 million, knowing the work that they have ahead of them. It's not much, but at least that is a form of commitment on the side of government to say, take this and start. We are with you all the way.
Okay. Finance, I have to bring this to you then. 17.8 million has been disbursed out of 30 million. And if you look at it, actually, the money for the victims is only 20 million in there, because the other money is for the operations of the Reparations Commission. The issue is that these victims need at least some 200 million. If they go at this rate, 20 million, it will take 10 years for them to get everything. What can you tell us?
I was just telling you there is an entity that is responsible in terms of coordinating. If it is GLF component or is it donor finance?
Okay.
No, that is when it comes to reparations, it's basically government's responsibility.
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
That's
why I said the context in terms of the directorate, in terms of where.
So it's not your area.
No, it's not. It's budget.
Okay, so you don't.
Budget works in terms of some of the disbursement that happens in terms of GLF component for dealing with sectors on those.
And just to assist with that, reparations is not only in terms of monetary compensation.
Indeed, yes.
You know, a lot of work has been done when it comes to the medical side of reparations, and when it comes to also livelihood assistance side of reparations, and all of that has to be calculated as well. And it's not a one-time thing. Just like the other development areas, it will also be timed, because given our current realities, you cannot just spend that much all at once. No, we have other priorities, but it will be done within a reasonable time. That is for victims.
For victims.
Yes.
Never again is the mantra of the whole transitional justice process. But we've seen of late police brutality has raised its ugly head again. We are closing up. I'm trying to get last statements from people. We've seen your institution has been releasing statements, trying to make sure that the security officers are, acting within the limits of the law. How can we proceed? What's the challenge? Because we already currently mourning the loss of Omar Baji. What can the NHRC do to make sure that the government, and the institutions, especially the police, bring down this police brutality? It becomes a thing of the past.
There is a lot that can be done, and much should be done. Just to start straight away, I would say that we really need better grievance handling of issues, and this is not done. And that was why I said we have not learned from the Farababanta incident. When it was in the recommendations, if you read, it was very clear that if we do business as usual, remember we're still transitioning, the mindset, and I mentioned when we started, we talk about even the issue of notification and permit, that's just
Public Order Act.
But that's just a small issue. The bigger issue even is managing public assemblies. They will happen. What we have now, we have a period where we've moved away from dictatorship. The people are yearning, they protest. This is where we are.
Yes.
And unfortunately, there is a lot of public mistrust of state institutions and other things. And people will come to voice out. The police must be trained properly in grievance handling and better management of public order issues. And this is why, and the thing is, there was a period in 2020 went together with the police, the NHRC developed these guidelines on policing public assemblies in the Gambia. And this was called from the AU Commission of the AU Commission on guidelines on policing public assemblies. And the police validated it. It's actually comprehensive.
Are they following that?
How to engage? Well, looking at what is happening, obviously, we need to revisit it. And we're planning to have a convergence with the police on issues like this. But better grievance handling. If you look at currently, every week something happens. Whether it's at Javan, people are demonstrating, acquisition of land, that's whether it's to do with floor pricing of internet data. People are ready to go out and talk in the streets. And what we observe that if, for example, the guidelines on policing public assemblies were properly followed, we'll have a proper management. In terms of confrontation, for example, you have police officers who are trained to come and talk to you. But what you see sometimes is confrontation and dispersal. If you look at the process now that is engaged when it comes to public order management, it's about dialogue. It's about facilitating. That's the operative word. Facilitating the process. Where those who have grievances will hand in over their petition, you guide them, and then they leave, and not to confront. So we need to engage in the security service in this.
And hopefully the youths will be brought in that engagement when you are...
Definitely.
Maybe that's something...
No. The youths and their representatives, because we have to work together. And also, remember, and I think everybody quickly, the security will say that the NHRC is biased against them. We are not, because if you look at all our statements, we're also telling the youths, you cannot also make the country ungovernable. If you're even making demands, you don't use threatening, abusing, insulting language. So we're all in it together. This is the Gambia that we all want. We have to work together. But the mindset of the security will have to change. It's been like that for a long time. It's 22 years is a long time. So it's dispersed. Give them money, let them go out. And at least one thing I would say, during the Farabavante Commission of Inquiry, we recommended that they should not be given AK-47 during, because this is what happened in Farabavante. They get overwhelmed and they shoot. At least lethal force is not used. But these are the things we need to look at. These are the things we need, because demonstration is not going to go away. Again, we're having the 2026 election cycle coming. People will youth protest. The youths are agitated. We have to find ways in engaging them. So that's what I want to say.
Thank you very much. And my gentleman from civil society, I mean, we've seen, obviously, civil society is very wide. You have those who have their niche areas like yourself who focus on education. But we've also seen the issue of, civil unrest and protests. What's your view, for example, for you as civil society? I've seen Tango have issued statements with regards to this. Just to get your last words before we close, and then I'll wrap up with the gentleman from ONS.
Yeah, I agree with Chairperson. I think the starting point is to recognize that protest is a legitimate right, and this generation is not. That generation of the 1960s or so. The Gambia's population today is larger, is bigger, is growing, and youthful. So that means that these things would continue happening. There is, these grievances are there, whether on land rights, on economic rights, data right. My grandfather would not worry about the cost of data, etc. But my generation lives on this. My livelihood depends on it, etc. So it is important for government to recognize that the young people and civil society in general is not an enemy. What we are fighting for, or what civil society in general is fighting for, is for the rights of everybody, including those serving in government. We might not be serving the state, in quotation, but our interest is the development of the state. Who benefits if there is land rights? Everybody, whether you are in government or not. How many people are in government who are renting? How many people are in government who cannot access, data, etc.? So it's in our collective interest. And just to, close to say this, in the beginning I said we've gone a long way, but there is still a long way to go. the Constitution. We've lost that. And I think that was one of the main pillars or fundamentals of this entire reform process. The idea at a go was everyone agreed that we needed a new constitution, but still we are without a new constitution. How can I hold the government accountable for not providing schools to communities? In the current constitution, I don't think we have all those mechanisms there, the right to development, etc. So I think moving forward, for the stability of this country and the development of this country, we need to make sure that these things are in place. Thank you.
And quickly, I think I just need to add, and which Mulie has also, I think, touched on. But it's also important that we turn our policies, our laws, our reports, implementation. And some of the times we have these beautiful laws, but we should turn them. Let the people feel the impact, and let's not just play lip service to democracy, freedom of assembly. We must live it. I think that's very important.
And that's where we're going to end with Mulie. Mulie, you've heard, we have lovely documents, and you've heard our colleague, you've heard what they've said, especially with regards to, we are not your enemy. That was the word that he said. And that sometimes the security would even the Human Rights Commission here is saying that sometimes the security, when they are bringing out their recommendations, they would feel like as if they are going too hard on them, it's us versus them, whilst that is not the case. All of this within the context of what we are seeing of late. You self-touched on it, Mandinari has just happened. What can you tell us? How do you make sure that the police realize that NHRC is not their adversary, that the civil society that they are working with, these people, they are partners? What can you do? What is it that we can do to make sure that the role that the ONS is playing gets to that point where these people can work, see themselves as partners, and work together, collaborate, and no to police brutality at the end as well?
Okay, thank you. I think the major thing that we need to do is to communicate. Because sometimes maybe the other side don't see that the National Human Commission is there to protect everybody's right. And the people in the security also are there to protect everybody. I think the missing link is we don't want to see or don't communicate eye to eye. But I think we can see the differences. If you look at also, because now nothing is hidden. We are in a democratic space where even where a pin drops, somebody is there to take photo of that.
Exactly.
I think this is what we need to realize. Sometimes you can have a good plan, operational plan, but the moment there's a problem is where the plan ends. Because you plan that you're going to do a normal patrol, and during the patrol something comes up. Yes. That is not plan.
Yes.
So sometimes the reaction of people in uniform, sometimes the reaction, I think we need to improve on the way we react to incidents. The issue of Madinari, I think is unfortunate. I think internally we are doing reflection on how we can improve. The wish of the security is not to see somebody harm in the street, because that's not the purpose. And sometimes it's not the institution's way of thinking. Sometimes even in our houses we have some people are bad people, or kids are not disciplined. Sometimes, but they represent like Joof. This is from Joof Kunda.
Of course.
Yes. So this is the problem that we need to. Anytime there's a problem, we look in one and see how we could improve. But that's why I see it's good that we have general discussion. Whereas if you see somebody doing wrong thing, you highlight so that we can improve. The good thing is now, people, the needs of the people are considered. In those days, you put there to comment or make any comment on what happened. But now, everybody is trying to say the police could have done this way, the security could have done this way. It's good that we are discussing, but we need to communicate it more. And we should understand that institutions that are there, the oversight institutions, are there for everybody. And the police also, or security also are there for everybody. But if we don't realize the role played by everybody, then we find it difficult. Like for example, like the story that if you want to rescue somebody at sea who drowned, you need somebody who can swim.
Yeah, of course.
And if you bring the person offshore, you need somebody who a medical doctor checks. And you need an ambulance to move.
Of course.
So this is like the security setup we're having. It's everybody's business. the police, the security alone cannot do. The National Human Rights Commission alone cannot do. The CSO cannot do. The government cannot do. The MOH alone cannot do. It's a collective responsibility. And the process of the reform, we're bound to make mistakes, and from the mistake we are learning, we can improve on the mistake. Okay. But it's not the wish of the institutions to go out and harm individuals. But during the process of the operations, we may tend to maybe have faults, but we look and see how we're going to improve on that. And remember, security is not only the police or the government; it's everybody's business. Yeah. So if you try to protect our families from our homes, then the street will be safe, then the community will be safe. But if you don't protect our kids or our society, we don't protect our homes, and those people go to the street, they'll make the streets ungovernable, and they'll make the country ungovernable. So security is everybody's business.
Communication. But what about accountability? How about the structures within? Because I know within police they have a human rights complaints unit.
Yes.
How are these structures working? And how are they even collaborating, for example, with the NHRC? Because of the issue is, we know that something is going on with Mandinari. We're not going to delve on that.
Yes.
But people are seeing videos. Police officers holding people who are already restrained are being slapped by police. Somebody who is already held and restrained by a police officer, they are being stamped by police. And when people see these things, it's shocking to people. What about the accountability mechanisms? Like I mentioned, police, I know they have the Human Rights Complaints Unit. How strong are these? Are they collaborating with NHRC so that they make sure that action is taken that will act as a deterrent, and then we can achieve the never again?
I think what you're saying is right. The action done by the police is wrong. No one can condone that. Somebody is already arrested. That is not handcuffed. You don't have any. That might not a threat to you. I think these are challenges that we still continue to work. Like you said, we have internal, what they call structures.
Yes,
like the police, they have internal structures now. I'm so aware that I don't know whether there's any report. If you feel that you can report to the matter of the police, go to the National Human Rights Commission. Yes. I don't know whether there's a report of such. If not, the courts are now free. You can go to the courts. So if you not now look at
they're not free financial wise.
What I mean now.
Yes, you can go. They make an independent decision.
Yes. The courts are free.
Yes,
they're not influenced by any.
Exactly.
So the National Human Rights Commission is there. Yes. It's not by influence by anyone. Yes. So if you don't have the means to report. If you report the matter, National Human Rights can take. But I'm not condoning the action done by the police is wrong. It is not the general reflection of what institution a security sector want. You want where people are treated like human beings. Yeah. We're treated like your own brother or your own sister. But sometimes you have in the homes, you have bad ones who act in that way. But we don't disown them. They're still part of us. But remember that also we, together with your oversight, the institutions, we can able to make the security of this country better.
Thank you very much. And that's where we will end today's program. Before we end, want to highlight that we do really congratulate the security in the work that they do. I mean, it's not an easy job. Just last year, we lost security officers, and they were there trying to make sure that we can sleep. Without peace and stability in this country, we will not have any development, which I feel is very important. So we will end the program here. Today is a special episode of The Brunch. I've had a big panel conversation here. I don't think I have enough time, but this is as much as we can do today. On today's program, I just want to highlight is funded by the, we have with funding from the EU UNDP Great Project. They've funded this program today, and the main people who are behind today's program is the National Human Rights Commission and Tango, which is here for all of civil society. And once again, your host is Yusuf Taylor, and this was a special episode of The Brunch. Until next week, thank you. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Traveling has never been this simple in the Gambia. Oh yes, You don't need to visit the GTSC depot just to get a ticket. Just download the Yona Wallet app today and enjoy hassle-free bookings. With Yona Wallet, you can buy your GTSC bus ticket right from your phone, anytime, anywhere. From Kanifing to Dakar, Dakar to Banjul, or up-country routes like Kanifing to Basse and Basse to Banjul, Yona Wallet has you covered. No queues, no stress. Just safe, fast, and convenient ticketing at your fingertips. Choose comfort. Choose convenience. Choose GTSC with Yona Wallet. Yona Wallet. Your money, your way. GTSC. Moving the nation forward. For more information, please call 1124 or 221-1668.
Jamano Money Transfer Bureau de Change, your go-to option when it comes to money transfer. With Jamano, you can send money from anywhere in the world to your family and loved ones in the Gambia and be sure the funds will be delivered to them within the shortest time possible. For your convenience, funds sent through Jamano Money Transfer can be picked from all the banks and multiple other financial institutions, including Ajib Bank, Trust Bank, GT Bank, Mega Bank, Basic Bank, Reliance Financial Services, and Approved Services. Visit our head office at Bruceby opposite AfricMed next to Trust Bank Limited or email us at info@jamanomt.com. You can as well call us on 310-3050 or 310-3051 or yet still 733-0688. Our opening hours are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday and 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday. Jamano Money Transfer, your most trusted money transfer service where customer satisfaction is paramount. When you think of a simple, fast, and reliable money transfer, think Jamano Money Transfer.
Agada.
Mbijan raganyani.
Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la.
Ha, code nyingi.
Okay. Korsa. Nsila ID soto.
Sa soto. Sorry. Agada.
Mbijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariya. Mbare ki janna nun kunu bara tariya.
Jannom yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbari ya bere. Birim koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato ni fo bolong blabe to.
56 branches mola sota Gambia jang.
Ha?
Gambia kono anin Gambia bantala bankol. Nko kono kiya bele. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta memmen na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw. Jannam number 1 di nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale le dadi mani domorol ni fana beteat. Gambia dawda yalo ngam fa kendol sotale je.
Wo moyo diat.
Apelenta
ni wo ka ni lafta nyelen kendol e bina.
Yalo bu kanyi la ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Abaraka.